The nanny he never Projections are too aggressive, someone said. Edward's tone sharpened. I don't fail. He never did, until that night, around midnight, as guests filtered out. I went downstairs to clear glasses. Edward was standing alone in the living room, one hand pressed against the marble fireplace. His face was pale at first. I thought it was exhaustion, then he collapsed. The sound of his body hitting the floor echoed through the mansion. For one frozen second, I just stared. The man who belittled me, the man who treated me like disposable labor, the man who deducted money because Oliver hugged me too long at bedtime. My mind flooded with memories. His cold voice, his sharp eyes, his humiliations. This was my moment to hesitate. To step back. To let fate deliver its own justice. But then I heard Oliver's footsteps at the top of the stairs. Is Dad okay? That changed everything. I ran to Edward's side. No pulse, shallow breathing. I remembered the CPR training I had taken years ago for childcare certification. Call 911. Start. Compressions don't stop. My hands pressed against his chest. Hard, steady, rhythmic. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Again. Again. Sweat rolled down my temple. Stay with me, I muttered. Not because he deserved it, but because Oliver deserved a father. Paramedics arrived within minutes. One of them glanced at me and said, "You started early." That's what saved him. Saved him. The irony burned. The awakened Edward survived. Triple bypass surgery. Weeks in recovery. The mansion felt different during his absence. Quieter. Less tense. Oliver laughed more when Edward returned home. Something in him had shifted. Not dramatically. Not yet. But there was hesitation in his authority. He called me into his study one afternoon. I expected criticism. Instead, he asked a question. Why did you help me? His voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. I could have answered with bitterness, could have reminded him of every paycheck deduction, every insult. Instead, I said, because it was the right thing to do. Silence stretched between us. He looked at his desk. I've not been kind, he admitted. That was the first crack in his armor. Repentant Serikovi forces reflection. Edward began spending more time with Oliver. He stopped snapping his fingers. He started saying my name. Amara, he said one evening, carefully. Thank you. It sounded foreign in his mouth. Weeks later, he requested a meeting with his attorney. I assumed it was business. It wasn't. He called me into the room. His lawyer sat with a thick folder. Edward cleared his throat. I reviewed your employment agreement, he said. It was unjust. understatement of the century. He continued, "You will receive retroactive compensation. For every unlawful deduction, the number written on the check stunned me.it was more than I had earned into years, but he wasn't finished. He created a long-term investment account in my name, funded immediately, 7 figures. I thought I had misread it. This is excessive, I said quietly. No, he replied. It's restitution. The word hung heavy in the air. Restitution, not charity, not generosity, acknowledgement. The transformation did change slowly, but genuinely. He began attending therapy. He apologized not just once, but specifically, for belittling you in front of guests, for reducing your pay unfairly, for treating you as inferior. Specific apologies matter. They prove reflection. Then came the unexpected turn. Edward had been working on a philanthropic venture, a childcare and domestic worker protection foundation. He named it the Oliver Initiative. But during the launch press conference, he shocked everyone. He stepped aside at the podium. This foundation exists because of a woman who showed me humanity when I showed her none. He called me forward. In front of investors, media, board members. I owe my life to her, he said. He announced that I would serve as CEO, founder, and executive director with equity, substantial equity. My investment account grew as the foundation expanded. Across North America, we created scholarships for nannies, legal aid for exploited caregivers, emergency housing support. Edward's wealth multiplied through strategic real estate acquisitions, and he placed a percentage directly into our foundation's growth. My share of ownership increased each year. Within 5 years, I was financially independent beyond anything I had ever imagined. Stupendously rich, as my father jokingly called it. But what changed me most wasn't the money. It was watching a hard man soften. Watching Oliver grow in a home no longer ruled by fear. The final conversation on evening. Long after the crisis, Edward stood in the garden, overlooking the city skyline. You had every reason to let me die, he said quietly. I didn't answer, because we both knew it was true. I built my empire believing strength meant dominance, he continued. You taught me strength is restraint. He handed me a final document. An irrevocable trust. My name listed as beneficiary, a percentage of his private holdings allocated permanently, not as payment. As legacy. You saved my life, he said. Now I want to help you build yours beyond anything I imagined. The morale remembered every cruel word when I pressed my hands against his chest that night. I remembered every humiliation, but I chose mercy, not because he earned it, but because I refused to become hardened by him. In the end, I didn't just save his life, I changed it, and in doing so, mine changed too. He once treated me as replaceable. Now my name sits beside his on buildings, foundations, and investment portfolios across the country. Not because I sought revenge, but because I chose integrity when it would have been easier to walk away. Sometimes the greatest wealth doesn't come from opportunity. It comes from character revealed in a single moment. And that night on the marble floor of the Ashford mansion, mercy made me richer than money ever could. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that character is revealed in the hardest moments, don't just scroll past it. Like this video to support powerful stories about integrity, redemption, and real transformation. Comment below. Would you have done the same? Could you show mercy after being treated that way? And most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable stories of betrayal, justice, and life-changing second chances. Because sometimes the greatest comeback isn't revenge, it's grace.